Welcome to Star Zodiacs, your celestial guide to self-discovery and cosmic healing. Today, we're diving deep into a powerful placement in your natal chart, Chiron in Gemini. But before we get started, here's a question to think about. Have you ever felt like no one really hears you? Like your words are floating in the air, never truly landing? If so, you might be carrying a wound that Chiron in Gemini reveals. Stay with us until the very end, because we're going to explore not just how this wound might have shown up in your life, but also how it can become your greatest strength. And don't miss the bonus trait at the end, it may completely shift how you view yourself and your voice. Chiron in astrology is often called the wounded healer. It represents a sensitive spot in your soul, something you were born with that often causes pain, but also carries your power to heal, grow, and guide others. When we talk about Chiron, we're not just talking about something that hurts. We're talking about something that, once understood, can become the very reason you shine. And when Chiron is in Gemini, that wound is tied to your voice, your mind, and how you connect to the world through communication. So let's begin this journey together. We'll explore what this placement means, how it may have affected you since childhood, and most importantly, how you can heal and rise through it. Are you ready to find your voice? Silence. When Chiron is in Gemini, one of the earliest wounds often appears in the form of silence. This isn't the peaceful silence of a quiet room, it's the kind of silence that feels heavy. As a child, you may have spoken but felt ignored. Maybe the people around you didn't understand what you were trying to say. Maybe you were shy, or perhaps someone laughed at your ideas or told you that you talked too much or not enough. Whatever the reason, silence became a response, a way to avoid the pain of feeling invisible or misunderstood. For some, this silence becomes a lifelong pattern. You hold your thoughts in, afraid that if you speak, others will judge you. Or worse, they'll still not listen. But this silence, while it seems safe, can also trap you. It blocks your creativity, your personality, and your power to connect. Recognizing this wound is the first step toward freeing your voice. Because your voice matters. And once you start using it, the silence no longer controls you. Misunderstood. Imagine being in a room full of people, speaking your truth, and yet feeling like nobody gets it. That's a common theme for those with Chiron in Gemini. You may have often felt misunderstood, even when you tried your best to explain things clearly. Maybe you used the wrong words, or maybe people simply weren't willing to understand you. Either way, this sense of being misread can lead to deep frustration and sadness. It's like trying to paint a picture with words, but no one sees the image you're creating. This can make you feel like something is wrong with you, like you're broken somehow. But you're not. Gemini is a sign that thrives on learning and connecting. If you felt misunderstood growing up, it's not because your ideas were wrong, it's because you were still learning how to shape them. Your journey is about learning to express your thoughts in a way that builds bridges, not walls. And with practice, you'll see how your mind is a beautiful gift, not a flaw. Hesitation. Have you ever had something important to say, but at the last second, you froze? Maybe you were about to answer a question in class, or tell someone how you really felt, but something held you back. That's hesitation, and it's a trait many with Chiron in Gemini carry. This pause is rooted in fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, or fear that your words won't come out the way you want them to. Gemini energy moves quickly, and when Chiron is here, that quickness can sometimes feel overwhelming. Your mind races, but your voice lags behind. You might replay conversations in your head long after they're over, wishing you had said something differently. This hesitation isn't about weakness, it's a defense mechanism built to protect your heart from being hurt again. But over time, this fear-based pause can limit your growth. Healing begins when you give yourself permission to speak, even if it's not perfect. Every time you share your voice, you're rewriting the story of fear into one of courage. And that courage is what unlocks your true potential. Comparison. When your Chiron is in Gemini, you might find yourself constantly comparing your mind to others. Maybe someone else seems smarter, quicker, or more articulate, and you begin to believe that you're somehow less than. This comparison trap can start early. Perhaps a sibling or classmate always seemed to have the right answers while you struggle to find the right words. And instead of celebrating your own unique way of thinking, you started to doubt it. But here's the truth: comparison is the thief of joy. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, and everyone with this placement has a different communication style. Yours may be quieter, more reflective, or more poetic. That doesn't make it less valuable. In fact, your way of thinking might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. The world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It needs your original voice. And when you stop comparing and start appreciating your gifts, everything changes. Restlessness. There's a kind of mental restlessness that comes with Chiron in Gemini. It's like your brain is always running, full of questions, ideas, thoughts, and conversations. This can be exciting, but it can also be exhausting. When you don't feel safe expressing what's on your mind, all that energy gets bottled up. You might talk a lot to fill the silence, or you might become quiet, with your thoughts spinning non-stop inside. This restlessness can also show up as a constant search for information. You read, watch, listen, and absorb, but still feel like something is missing. That's because what you're really looking for isn't more facts, it's understanding. You want to understand yourself, your place in the world, and how to feel heard. When you begin to calm your mind and trust that you don't need to know everything all at once, restlessness begins to settle. And in that stillness, your true voice starts to rise. Anxiety. When words are your wound, it's no surprise that communication can cause anxiety. Whether it's talking in front of a crowd, texting someone back, or trying to explain your feelings, it can sometimes feel like walking on a tightrope. One wrong step and everything crashes. You may worry that you'll say something wrong, or that people will judge you, laugh, or ignore you. That fear creates pressure, and that pressure leads to anxiety. Chiron in Gemini often brings a sensitive nervous system. You may feel emotions through your body, tight shoulders, racing heart, shaky hands, especially when you're about to speak your truth. But here's the powerful part: that anxiety is not a punishment, it's a signal. It's your body telling you that what you have to say matters. The more you face this fear with kindness and patience, the more you learn to calm it. Speaking your truth won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Duality. Gemini is a sign of duality, twins, two sides, two voices. When Chiron lives here, you may feel torn between two versions of yourself. One side is confident and social, full of ideas and curiosity. The other side is unsure, reserved, and afraid to speak. This duality can feel confusing. You might be chatty one moment and silent the next. You might write beautifully but struggle to speak. Or you might speak well to strangers but feel nervous around loved ones. This inner tug-of-war can make you feel like you're not being real. But the truth is, both sides are real. They're just trying to protect you in different ways. Healing comes when you stop picking one over the other, and instead, learn to let them work together. Your confidence and your caution are both important. They help you balance thought and feeling, mind and heart. And through that balance, your full self can finally emerge. Expression. Chiron in Gemini teaches one of the most beautiful lessons of all: the power of expression. Whether it's through speaking, writing, drawing, music, or even dance, your soul needs to express what it holds inside. If you were ever told to be quiet or felt like your words didn't matter, it can take time to feel safe expressing yourself again. But every time you do, you build a bridge back to who you really are. Expression doesn't have to be loud or perfect. It just has to be real. When you tell your story, you give others permission to do the same. When you share your truth, you help others feel seen. That's the magic of healing with Chiron and Gemini. You become not just a voice for yourself, but a voice for others who still feel silent. Your expression becomes your superpower. Mentorship. Here's where the wound transforms into a gift. People with Chiron and Gemini often become incredible mentors, teachers, or guides, not because they had it easy, but because they know what it's like to struggle. You felt the silence, the fear, the doubt. And that gives you a deep sense of empathy. You don't just share facts, you share understanding. You don't just talk, you connect. Whether it's helping a friend through a tough time, guiding a younger sibling, or becoming a teacher, your journey equips you to help others in a special way. And every time you help someone find their voice, your own voice gets stronger. Mentorship isn't just about teaching, it's about healing together. And in this healing, your wound becomes your wisdom. Redemption. The final core trait of Chiron and Gemini is redemption, the beautiful, full circle moment where the wound becomes the light. This isn't a flash of overnight healing. It's the quiet strength that comes from years of growth, learning, and rising every time you fell. You find your way back to your voice. You speak with courage. You write with clarity. You listen with love. And in doing so, you redeem every moment you felt lost or silenced. Redemption doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It means using the pain to create something meaningful. It means turning your scars into stars. When you fully embrace your voice, your mind, and your story, you no longer carry your wound, you carry your gift. And the world needs that gift more than you know. Curiosity. Here's your bonus trait, and it might just be the key to unlocking everything: curiosity. At the heart of Gemini is an endless desire to learn, explore, and ask questions. Chiron and Gemini can sometimes turn that curiosity inward in a painful way, like asking, "What's wrong with me?" But when healed, that curiosity becomes a spark for joy. You start asking different questions. What else can I learn? What more can I say? How can I grow? That shift in questions leads to a shift in life. Curiosity is what turns wounds into wisdom. So stay curious, because every question you ask is a doorway to healing. Chiron in Gemini is a journey of the mind, the voice, and the heart. It's about taking the wound of being unheard and transforming it into a message the world needs to hear. Yes, it begins with pain, but it ends in purpose. Through silence, misunderstanding, anxiety, and restlessness, you find your way to expression, connection, and redemption. You don't just heal, you help others heal too. Thank you for watching. We'll be back soon with more exciting astrology-related videos. Until then, continue to make your mark on the world. Remember, greatness knows no limits. Be sure to leave a comment on which of these traits you relate to the most or to suggest our next video topic. We try to respond to every comment left by you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more astrology content. Until next time, keep reaching for the stars.